1977. William Peter Blatty's The Exorcist, 1971. Thomas Tryon's Harvest Home, 1973. And Stephen King's Salem's Lot, 1975. The latter book, in particular, struck me as being so fresh and exciting that I wished it would never end. An intriguing cross between Dracula and Peyton Place. King's novel dealt so innovatively with the subject of vampires that I wondered if a parallel topic, werewolves, might be worth exploring in the hope that I could find a new approach. As is my custom, I went to my local library and began extensive research. But to my frustration, after dozens of books, I discovered nothing about lycanthropy that I hadn't already known. Silver bullets, mysterious gypsies, ominous curses, all tediously familiar. The last thing I wanted was to repeat what had already been done. Discouraged, about to give up, I chanced upon two items that made the difference. The first was in my morning newspaper, a bizarre account of animals, especially cattle, that had been found inexplicably eviscerated in alarming quantity and frequency throughout the American West. These reports have continued to this day. In 1994, as I write this introduction, my local newspaper has been printing a long series about mysteriously eviscerated cattle found near where I live in Santa Fe, New Mexico. The second item was in the last research book that I studied. On the final pages of that dusty, tattered volume, I found myself staring in fascination at an article by an anthropologist with a medical background who proposed a unique explanation for the origins of both the vampire and werewolf myths. I don't want to ruin the suspense of my novel, so I won't tell you what that explanation was. It's enough to say that I immediately sat at my typewriter and that my topic had changed. No longer werewolves, but an all-too-real terror. These days, it's even more terrifying because it is timely. Because of those eviscerated animals in the American West, my choice of locale became obvious. A few years earlier, doing research for Testament, I had traveled west to attend a wilderness survival school in the mountains of Wyoming. That state, with its colorful towns surrounded by rugged peaks, seemed ideal for my purposes. A chance to depict a seldom-used setting in this type of fiction, and avoid the familiar creaky stair traditions of New England horror. As in Testament, I made considerable use of Jungian archetypes, trying to evoke the mythic power of mountains, forests, and caves. I was also able to indulge my obsessive interest in prehistoric cave art. I had collected numerous books on the subject, and would later return to it in 1991 in The Covenant of the Flame. The nightmare, part man, part cat, part wide-antlered elk, that afflicts the Totem's alcohol-ravaged reporter, is based upon an actual Ice Age image known as the Sorcerer, located in the Trois Fers cave in France. Nathan Slaughter, my main character, struggles with a problem that dramatizes the novel's theme: the value of being a professional, the need to maintain control in every aspect of his life. Having endured an excruciating real-life nightmare, the worst he could imagine when he was a policeman in Detroit, Slaughter suffered an eventual nervous breakdown and retreated to what he desperately hoped would be security and peace in the remote town of Potter's Field in Wyoming. But now, after having reconstructed his defenses, he suddenly confronts a horror far beyond any that Detroit had taught him to expect. Fear struggling with pride. That is Slaughter's burden. The triumph of the human spirit is what he eventually exemplifies. Other characters, the veterinarian, the reporter, and the medical examiner, share the same turmoil and react in contrasting ways. The textual history of this novel is a drama in itself. One of the first things I learned as a writer was, when in doubt, don't throw any pages away. That rule has frequently been of help, especially when due to overfamiliarity.